Hey there, brilliant people. So this next video, I just needed to give you a little bit of an introduction to it, because this next video is me interviewing the wonderful Charmaine Clancy, who organised the Rainforest Writers Retreat. Combines two of my favourite things, writing and rainforests. And now, back in May. Yes, back in May. Sorry. I got to go to the Rainforest Retreat, which I wanted to go to last year, but didn't quite make it because of, obviously the global situation. Anyway, we were in lockdown, obviously last year. We came out of lockdown for long enough that we were able to go to the retreat, and well, we're back in lockdown for the moment. But so there were a couple of things that Charmaine wanted me to talk to you about, or well, one thing she wanted me to talk about and one thing I wanted to talk about that I forgot to mention in the interview. So the thing that I wanted to talk about was that from the Rainforest Writers Retreat, they actually produce a wonderful anthology every year. So this is the one for last year. And so every year the anthology sort of obviously has a theme. So this theme is about obviously science and space, like science fiction, obviously. So this is great. So they actually have different anthologies for every year. I'll put a link down below if you'd like to have a look at those. They're really cool. Like the anthology is basically a collection of stories from from all the different writers who have been to the retreat. So check that out. And if you do get a copy, remember to put a review up on Amazon or Goodreads or wherever you do your reviews. Now the other thing, this is the thing that Charmaine wanted me to mention, is that well, I actually was a presenter at the retreat. So this is the folder from the retreat, and there's the itinerary, and there you are, you see. I assume you can see that. So that's me there. First cab off the rank. Yes, doing a workshop on, of course, intuition in writing. So there you are. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. If you've got any questions for me or for Charmaine, I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. And of course, if you put the comments, any questions in the comments below, we'll get to them. All right, so that I'm going to stop talking now and let you enjoy this wonderful interview. Hey there, brilliant people. So today I have a very special guest I'm really excited to talk to. This is Charmaine Clancy. She's a teacher, a writer, and the convener of the Rainforest Writing Retreat, which I've been having a fabulous time at. So can you just maybe tell people a little bit about the retreat and maybe how it got started, and because it's a lot of work, I know.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Yeah, so we started the Rainforest Writing Retreat 8 years ago now, and it originated from a small writing group, and we really wanted to attend a retreat, and at the time there was very little available except to go overseas. And we looked at all these retreats that were very expensive, to go to Paris with people. Ooh, and things like that, and we thought there must be a way to do this. And I remember at the time I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, right.
And one of the things he said in there is that the solution to money problems is rarely money, more money. And so I was twisting that around to think, well, instead of thinking about how expensive these retreats are for my small writers group to attend, maybe we could look at holding our own retreat and going through the process that way. And it just snowballed from there because everyone wanted to be involved. It was such a positive experience that we had presenters contact us and say, I heard you're going on a writer's retreat, we'd like to come and present a workshop. And they all did this voluntarily, and it was just all sort of goodwill, people feeling great. And we came here to O'Reilly's 8 years ago. There was about 17 of us back then, and we spent 2 days back then and realised that wasn't long enough, but we spent a
Never
whole
is.
weekend. Yeah, it was not long enough. So we grew from there. We thought it was just a group of friends, but the next year people heard about it and contacted me and said, I heard you went on this writers retreat, can I come to the next one? So one of the people who was very generous, and he came and talked about publishing books, and he's very big on IT and things like that, he set up a website for us. Again, it was all just generosity, people helping each other. And he set up a website for the writing retreat, and then the bookings started coming in. And the very first year, even without promoting it, that we were bringing other people along, so our second year of our retreat, we had about 35, 40 people come along, and it's just grown from there. And this year we're at 66. Yeah.
I'm staying in room 66. I said, I mean, that's a wonderful story of co-creation. So, and you know, for me, intuition and co-creation are kind of like this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, this is all about intuition. So, my next question is, of course, so what is intuition to you? I mean, do you feel that was part of the process, and is that part of your general life? But start with.
I think absolutely, because I think intuition works on many levels, and I think the initial level, as with everything, is starting with self.
Yeah.
So your initial level is to have trust in your own intuition first, and to understand that you can do things. So if you think there's something you want to do, to trust yourself that I can create this, it can happen, and then I can enjoy it. It does not have to be, I want this thing, it does not exist yet, I guess I can't do that then.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest thing to say.
Yeah.
But it's worth it to then go through the journey. So, and then the second step to me with intuition, once you've trusted yourself to take that journey, is to trust other people and the goodwill of other people who would like to be part of that journey, and to allow them to have their journey as well, not to try. One of the things, we have a lot of people who help out at this retreat. One of the things I'm very aware of is that sometimes I'll be asked, do you want this way or that way? And if asked my opinion, I'll say, yeah, I'm thinking that looks good, but this is your project. You have to decide, because I want people to trust their intuition too, and I want it to be their journey. I don't want this retreat to be Charmaine's retreat and you'll get to attend. Even our retreaters mould our retreat each year by giving feedback and saying what they would like to see, and we mould it around them, because even though we're 66 now, in my head I guess, we're still that little group of people that come along together and write together and have fun together and learn together.
Yeah, that's great. So just, if I can ask a little bit more personal question, so when you're doing your own writing, because that of course is quite an intuitive process as well. For you, when you're doing an amazing co-creation like the retreat, for you, does that sort of co-creative intuition feel the same as your own personal intuition when you're doing your own creation like you're writing, or does it feel quite different?
I feel like there is some difference in that writing feels to me a very solitary experience. There are plenty of people I know who write in groups or co-write with people as well, and I guess that would be more like when we create the retreat, in that give and take and not trying to control a project, which is something we do. We do produce an anthology. I'll talk about that in a moment, but what you're asking about my personal writing is, I do feel like that's my little world that I'm creating at the first stage. So the intuition for me is to trust myself just to get a story down and not have high expectations of what it is, because in getting it down, I'm very much a plotter. I do like to plot, but even in plotting, you have to trust yourself to plot badly, and then to come back and find the gold in there and find that one piece that you can build up from, and know that it will work out. And it's a scary journey when you first want to be a writer and you don't even want to admit you want to be a writer. It's almost like, oh, I couldn't tell people I want to be a writer because I couldn't be a writer, and that's just embarrassing. But you've got to trust yourself. You've got to know that it's not magic. If I wanted to build a chair, I currently now have no idea how to build a chair. I don't know, but I don't believe it's something that if I really wanted to, I couldn't do it. It can't happen. I do believe I'll make a really bad chair, and I'll make lots of really bad chairs. But if I was passionate about it, if I really want it and I pursue it, I'm going to end up making really beautiful chairs.
Yeah.
And writing is the same thing. People feel a bit worried about admitting they're writing. They feel like it's self-complimenting themselves, which is something we're not good at.
No, well, I mean, for me, like you mentioned that for you, intuition starts inside, and you know, that's what I believe. It's what I teach, and when it goes inside, well, like the thing with intuition is that because we go inside and then we express it on the outside, obviously, and then as you said, we get better because that becomes like a self-reinforcing loop, really, and eventually we learn to connect to what I think is our own brilliance, our own genius, with that authentic voice, whatever you want to call it. But, really cool.
And I think to do that, we have to shed that shame of being brilliant and being a genius, because it is almost just in the society that we have, and it could be in Australian culture. We don't like the tall poppies, we cut them down, so that we sort of think, I don't want to brag, I don't want to say I'm a creative writer because maybe I'm not that creative. So that intuition is telling you to do it. You have to trust yourself and go that journey, and quite freely tell people that you're a creative writer. Nobody is going to shame you for doing that, or for thinking that you're getting very good at writing. When you get to the stage where you're proud of your work, feel free to tell people that you're proud of your work, because it's great.
Yeah.
And it's helping other people to release their own inner inhibitions of what they know inside they'd like to do, but what they think, I don't want to admit that. And by us all spreading the word that, hey, I like doing this, I'm proud of it, they can too.
And that's, of course, what you're doing at the retreat, by sort of giving, yourself and that initial group of people, permission to all just be brilliant. It gives sort of more people permission to be brilliant, because they see it's a weird thing to say, but it's okay to be brilliant.
Yeah. Excellent.
So I do like to ask people if they have a particular story or anecdote about when intuition was really significant in their life. Like they could have gone left, but their intuition said no, go right, and it was that was the brilliant thing to do.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, in my life, I've had a lot of what I call jobs, different types of jobs, and your kids get that project at some stage where they talk about the careers their parents have had. And when we were writing them all down, I think mine was like over 30. So, because I've worked in a lot of areas, and I've enjoyed and loved every single one from, I've worked in government, I am now a teacher, but I've also, when I was younger, worked in Mrs. Field's cookie store, and I loved it. And I've loved all of my jobs. But certainly intuition, I feel, has guided me. And the first step, I think, where it guided me was not feeling like I had to lock myself into a career, because I'm of a generation where in high school they literally handed you a book of careers. And you went through in year 10 and you picked the career that you wanted, so you knew what qualifications you had. And I remember circling every second page of every time. Oh, that sounds optometrist. Yes, I'd love to be an optometrist. And people expected you to choose one and follow that path. And I've always been like, it's like collecting experiences, and I'm obviously very grateful that I'm in a situation in my life where I can do that, because I understand very well that some people need that security of following one pathway. So I tried different things, and my intuition always guided me that way. If I want to try something, I felt brave in leaving what I was doing to pursue something else. So while I was working in government, I took a short time off to have some children, to have my children, not just any children. I actually had my own, to have my children. And when I was ready to move back into the workplace, I was looking at a degree that would progress me up in my career. And while I was looking at the core subjects in the degree, I found myself very bored. So I decided instead, I came across while looking for it, a creative writing degree, a Bachelor of Arts degree in creative writing. And all the subjects in there were things that I wouldn't study because I had to study. Every subject I was like, oh, I want to go to that course. Oh, I want to go to that course. So I thought, well, no, I'm going to leave this now and I'm going to study. And then while I was studying, I had no idea, as probably a lot of people who study a Bachelor of Arts degree start off with, no idea what I would do with that. And it was towards the end of the degree that I really found I loved helping other people understand things in a way that I love teaching. So then I moved into teaching, and I love writing and teaching. So that moved me towards teaching English, but also teaching workshops for children, because I do love literacy in children. And that's what I think brought me towards setting up the Rainforest Retreat, because I love learning and teaching.
It comes through, yes. It's certainly true. Well, that's brilliant. So just to finish off, is there some tip or trick that you use, or something that personally that this allows you to know this is my intuition at its strongest, or because it is a big question for people, is how do I know it's my intuition, not my imagination? How, like you said, how do I know that I should trust this?
Absolutely. And I think it's about saying to yourself, if I'm going to have a focus, what is my core focus going to be? And it's almost impossible to just say it, because we're guilted again into saying, well, my core focus is going to be parenting because I want to be the best parent that has ever existed, and not the worst mother ever, which we've all been called at some stage. So, you feel like there are things you should say. So one of the exercises that I do is, at the beginning of each year, I like to find my focus for the year. So I write down everything that I like to do in my life, whether it's I like to do a bit of gardening, I like to do a bit of cooking, I like to teach, I like to learn things, I like to parent, I like to walk my dog, and I fill my page. And then, and I do this as an exercise sometimes with writers group, and then the hard part is I go through and I have to pick the 3 most important things. If I could only have 3 of those things, what are they going to be? And it's hard. It's horribly hard, because you feel guilty when your highlighter goes past the children and up to your alone time, and you don't choose by what's expected. You just choose. You're not saying you're not going to cook meals for your family. You're not saying your dog won't get walked again. You're just saying, what are my important things that fill me up, that make me feel like I matter as a person? And once you pick those 3, I call it like my pyramid, because you can have more than one focus at any time. Some people can be driven with one focus, and that's fine too. For me, I like a couple of things going on in my life. So I feel like you can have a pyramid. At any one time, only one thing can be at the top. You can always flip it around, and those other 2 things will still be there, but you'll have one thing at the top. And it released a lot of guilt, because when my children were young and I was working, I had my studies, and when I was at school, my teachers believed that should be my priority. When I was at my children's school, the school believed all the little forms you fill in and all the things like tuck shop work and stuff, that should be the priority. And then if you go to the gym, sometimes your trainer will be telling you, no, that this should be your priority. You've got to look after yourself.
Your priority is crunches.
Your friends will tell you need to get out more. You've got to look after yourself. You've got to have that as your priority. So everyone wants the world that you connect to them in to be your priority, but you need to choose, and it can't always be everything. So just flip it around and take turns. And that's exercise that I did to find what was my focus. And when I wasn't writing, when I let that slip back, I realised I was missing it. And I want to get back into writing, and I want to share things with people, and the flow on of that is I want to see other people grow as writers. So I want to see children develop their skills, and I want to see adults develop their passions, and that's my focus, and that's how I found it.
Yeah, no, that's a really neat exercise. So some of you might want to try that exercise, but it's that, as you said, that positive focus is so important, because your intuition is like a muscle. You have to be able to activate it. Yeah. So that's great. So thank you so much, not only for creating this fabulous retreat that I've been enjoying, but spending the time today and sharing with us all about intuition. So I hope you guys got something out of that. Maybe you want to try Charmaine's little exercise about how to refine your focus to really strengthen that external alignment. And so until next time, remember that you're brilliant.
Thanks a lot.